Two people lose the same job at the same company on the same day. 6 months later, one of them has calmly moved into better work. The other is trapped under credit card debt, charging 30% a year and still has not recovered. Same salary, same skills, same bad luck. The difference between their 2 years was decided long before the layoff, by one boring account that most people never get around to opening. Today, let's talk about that account. What it is, how big it should be, where it should live, and how to build it even on a tight budget. Meet Sara. She is 30, works at a design firm, and spends about $2,000 a month on essentials: rent, groceries, transport, her share of the family's bills. Life runs smoothly, so preparing for disasters feels theoretical, a someday thing. Then, 2 things happen in a single year. First, her father needs a minor surgery. $4,000 needed this week, not after the next bonus. A few months later, the firm loses its biggest client, and Sara's whole team is let go. No warning. Her salary stops. Her rent does not. Now let's run that year twice. In version 1, Sara has nothing set aside. The surgery lands on a credit card, the job hunt runs on borrowed money, and revolving credit card debt typically costs 20 to 40% a year, depending on the card and the country. Every jobless month digs the hole deeper, so she takes the first offer she gets at a lower salary, because waiting has become unaffordable. In version 2, Sara has $12,000 sitting in a separate account. 6 months of essentials. The surgery is paid within the week, without borrowing a cent. The job search takes 4 months, and she can afford every one of them. She turns down 2 poor offers and accepts a good one. Same surgery, same layoff, same person. A completely different year. Here is the best way I know to picture that account. It is the spare tyre in your car. Nobody buys a car because of the spare tyre. It sits in the back for years, adding a little weight, doing absolutely nothing. And that is precisely the point. It is not there for the days when everything works. It is there so that one nail, on one road, on one unlucky afternoon, does not end your whole journey. With a spare, a puncture is a 20-minute annoyance. Without one, on an empty stretch at night, the same puncture becomes a genuine crisis. The spare tyre never made any trip faster. It made every trip survivable. An emergency fund is exactly that. Money whose only job is to sit quietly until something goes wrong. And things do go wrong. Not often, but reliably. Jobs end without notice. Health surprises arrive without appointments. Homes spring leaks. Families need help. None of this is pessimism. It is simply what a long enough road eventually includes. The question was never whether you will hit a nail one day. It is whether there will be a spare in the car when you do. So, how big should the spare be? The honest rule of thumb? 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. 2 words there carry all the weight. Expenses, not income. You are protecting your needs, not your lifestyle. And essential. Rent, food, utilities, transport, insurance premiums, school fees. Not subscriptions and weekend plans. Sarah's essentials come to $2,000 a month. 3 months of that is $6,000. 6 months is $12,000. Somewhere between those two numbers is her target. Closer to 3 months if her income is very steady or her household has a second earner. Closer to 6 or even beyond if she freelances, supports dependents, or works in an industry where layoffs arrive in waves. Now, $12,000 can sound impossible from a standing start. So do not start from $12,000. Start from 1 month. Sarah begins setting aside $200 every month, a tenth of her essential spending. In 10 months, she has $2,000. 1 full month of cushion and already a calmer feeling when she reads the news. In 30 months, 2.5 years, she has $6,000, 3 months covered. Even $100 a month grows into $3,600 in 3 years, close to 2 months of protection. Slow is completely fine. A spare tyre collected slowly stops a puncture exactly as well as one bought in a day. And there is a quieter benefit that never shows up in the arithmetic. Money in that boring account changes how you carry yourself long before any emergency arrives. With a few months behind you, a difficult boss becomes a problem, not a prison. A shaky industry becomes a reason to upskill, not a reason to panic. People with a cushion negotiate better, say no more easily, and sleep more deeply. Not because they are braver, but because a single bad month has quietly lost the power to ruin them. That is what the spare tyre really carries in the back of the car. Not rubber, but peace of mind, earning a little interest. Where should this money live? Back to the tyre. It has to be in the car, not in a garage across town. In money terms, the fund must be liquid. Liquid simply means you can turn it into spendable cash within a day or two, without penalties and without pleading with anyone. A separate savings account qualifies. A high-yield savings account is even better. The same instant access with a little more interest. A money market fund, a conservative fund designed to stay stable and easy to withdraw, can hold a portion too. What does not qualify? Shares, equity funds, property, or anything locked in for years. Markets can be down 30% on precisely the day you need the money. Downturns and layoffs are old travelling companions. The spare tyre cannot live across town. Where do people go wrong? 3 honest mistakes. No judgment here because they are all common. Mistake 1. My credit card is my emergency fund. A card is not a cushion. It is a loan waiting to happen. Revolving card debt typically costs 20 to 40% a year, which means using a card for emergencies is borrowing at your weakest moment, at some of the highest rates ordinary people are ever charged. A card can bridge the 2 days until your fund reaches your account. It cannot be the fund. Mistake 2. Investing the emergency fund so it can grow. It genuinely feels wasteful. $12,000 earning modest interest while markets grow somewhere else. But growth was never this money's job. Its job is to exist in full on the worst day of your year. And the worst days for jobs are often the worst days for markets too. Let your other money chase growth over the decades. This money stays boring on purpose. Boring is the feature. Mistake 3. Raiding it for things that are not emergencies. A big seasonal sale is not an emergency. A wedding you have known about for a year is not one either. Here is a test with 3 parts: unexpected, necessary, urgent. A real emergency passes all 3. A hospital bill tonight: unexpected, necessary, urgent. Yes, yes, and yes. A new phone because the old one feels slow: no, no, and not really. If it fails the test, it waits for a different pot of money, and the spare stays in the car. So what can you actually do, starting this month? 4 steps. First, find your number. Write down your essential monthly expenses, only the ones that keep life running, and multiply by 3, then by 6. That range is your personal target. Just knowing it changes how you look at your bank balance. Second, give the fund its own home. Open a separate account, away from your spending money. Separation matters more than it sounds, because money that mingles gets spent. Then, automate a transfer for the day after your paycheck arrives. Even $50 a month starts the habit. The amount can grow later. Third, keep it liquid and split it if you like. A slice in the everyday savings account for instant access, the rest in a high-yield savings account or a money market fund, earning a little more while staying a day away. Never further than that. Fourth, refill and resize. If you ever use the fund, and one day you will, refilling it becomes your first priority, ahead of any investing. And when rent or expenses rise, your target rises with them. Check it once a year, the way you would check tire pressure before a long drive. So, the spare tire. An emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses parked somewhere boring and reachable, doing nothing, which is exactly its job. It will never make you rich. It makes bad days survivable and hard choices less desperate. Build it slowly, keep it liquid, and refill it after every puncture. Here is our question for you. Honestly, how many months could you cover today if your income stopped? 1, 3, or 6? Tell us in the comments. No judgment, just a number.